Don't forget to like, subscribe and share the videos.
So I'm Rajkumar, 2010 batch Indian Police Service, born to the Maharashtra cadre, currently serving as Commissioner of Police, Solapur City. So we will be discussing deteriorating communal harmony and from the law and order perspective. I don't have a PPT format today for today's lecture, so it will be I'll be sharing basically my work experience and I guess we'll be covering a few aspects from the law and order point of view, and anywhere, anytime, if you want to intervene, you can just switch on your mics and ask, and if possible, reserve your questions for the end of the session. Maybe we'll spare ample time to respond to whatever queries you have. First, let's basically touch the constitutional provisions related to this, and then we'll get into the law and order aspects. So it's not anything new since you guys are all already into the preparation. Right to religion is a fundamental right. So articles 25, 26 and 27 and the chapter deals with it, and every individual has been bestowed with that right. The most important part is the reasonable restriction on it. So the constitution lays the responsibility on the state that no religion shall be given preference over the other. And students of Indian polity are well aware of the usage of the word shall. So no religion to be given preference is different, shall be given preference is different. So the makers of the constitution are very clear: no religion shall be given any kind of preference whatsoever over the other. And for individuals, and this is maybe the definition of religiousness, you have the right to freely preach, practice and propagate your religion or whatever religion of your choices. So this may be defined in a nutshell of what religiousness is. You have the right to preach your religion, practice your religion and propagate your religion. But nowhere it is mentioned, when it comes to some bodily offenses, you have the right to self-defense. In the same manner, for in the right to religion aspect, you don't have the right to defend it, to stop somebody from performing others to protect yours, or to stop somebody from propagating others religion so that your religion is sounding a little low. That right or authority is not given. And it's also necessary to maintain a very principled distance from every other religion. So the state has to ensure that it is at equidistant from every other religion. And the state has been authorized, or rather made responsible, to intervene whenever the religious practice contravenes with public order, morality, health, egalitarian social order and objectives of welfare of the state. So it is here that we, administration and police administration, precisely pitch in. So the state's obligation and authority and responsibility to intervene when this practice contravenes public order. So public order is the word, and public order and law and order in most occasions are used interchangeably, but very distinct, very clearly defined. Public order situation, say for example, if two gangs are having a physical dispute, it affects them, maybe a bit of the environment, So this is a law and order situation. But when a violence or an incident affects the day-to-day life of a normal civilian, that is defined as public order. So anywhere public order is disturbed, the state is bound to intervene and bound by the Constitution of India. And the other aspect is the directive principles of state policy. So for example, Article 48, which is pretty much in news, it mentions that the part of it, native breeds, say cows, calves, draught cattle, and milk cattle be protected. And it's also from available from the literature that it was not in the draft bill, and it was later added during the discussions in the Constituent Assembly. And one school of thought says that it was added to because of the majority religious sentiments, and this paves way to recent acts by many states banning cow slaughter. And this has a major impact on the communal harmony and the social fabric. Maybe I'll discuss with this cow slaughter act separately a few moments later. And who are these primarily affecting, or the primary groups which are involved? When we see that Hindu Muslim is the major are the major players. Hindus versus Muslims, vice versa. Swarna versus Dalit, that's caste Hindus versus Dalits. That is another aspect, and other ethnic groups which may be localized. These three are the major groups or players involved in maybe the effect of disturbing communal harmony. And coming to the next part, triggers. What are the primary triggers for communal disturbance or law and order situation due to lack of communal harmony? The few are historic structures or religious places, controversial religious structures which are currently in discussion or debate. For example, you might have just come across a small temple by the side of the road, or a small dargah near a post office. But these religious structures are coming under question now. And these are potential reasons to create communal disturbance in a particular locality or a village or a town. And love affair between interreligious couple, intercaste couple, this is a major trigger to create communal disturbance. And cow vigilantism, which is in the past few years, this has become another major reason for having communal trouble, riots, and other stuff. Another recent trend was rumors of child lifting. This has been happening once in 3-4 years. Frequently, a particular community members come around to villages and they kidnap kids. So on the basis of this unverified doubt, a mob indulges from the other community, and it results in mob lynching and resulted stuff.
So
Vandalism.
excuse me, sir. There's a doubt. Like
Yeah.
even at maybe now it's 2024, and even at this time, it is the love affair between different communities is affecting still.
Of course, yes. So you
Oh,
can have NCRB data, which is out in the public. It's an open source material.
okay.
So, number of communal incidents for which the reason was a couple eloping from a village, or intercaste marriage happening in a village. This has led to major communal situation in the particular village or the town, which, if uncontained, might spread to other towns and villages as well.
Okay.
So to 2024 or 2044 doesn't matter for this. The overall societal conditioning matters. And yes, the next thing is hate speeches, which in the current scenario with electioneering in the process becomes another issue. Hate speeches is very important, a very important trigger, and vandalisms or insults. So usually somebody might not have seen a dargah for a very long time, and one fine day somebody comes up with the allegation that has been vandalized, that has been damaged, and willfully by members of other community. Similarly, it happens with small temples. Uh, that the temple has been vandalized, the deity in the temple has been damaged, or some insulting act like throwing of footwear inside the sanctum sanctorum. These kind of stuff suddenly pops up, and this spreads virulently and creates immense damage to the public order. And most important, or rather the currently very effective means to create or trigger a communal incident is social media posts and its results. So any provocative speech, any act of violence, any disturbing visual which has happened in any place of the world at any point of time, which is not current, which might be very old, 5 6 years old video happening in any foreign state, also is projected as if it is happening in the next village, and this creates communal trouble without verifying any aspect of it. We are ready to get into a squabble with our own neighbors. And mob lynching might be due to cow vigilantism or child lifting, any of these aspects, even the intercaste labor. But one mob lynching becomes a trigger for a major communal riot in other parts of the state or the city. So this is not isolated. Once it happens in one place, it becomes a trigger to spread communal violence in the other parts. So next, let's discuss some trends which are happening now. We have new subsects, whether it is Hinduism, Muslim, Islam, or Christianity, or whatever. We have newer subsects, newer groups with a specific name and a specific agenda, and they involve in extreme right-wing activities. And the sole objective of this group is to highlight their agenda and to put down the other religion or the other subsects, and this is growing now. And the other newer trends are like we have more congregations, bigger congregations in a grandeur manner. These were not found previously, in the beginning of the century, or rather in the previous century, we didn't have this. But in the current decade or so, we are finding this congregation of over 2 lakh people happening for over a period of 1 week, and they stay there. They have their speeches, religious speeches, and the speakers are more sort of, they become celebrities, the religious speakers in any religion for that matter. And this leads to more celebrations. There were previously, today is a very important day, particularly for Maharashtra police, Ganesh Chaturthi, and the next 15 days are going to be quite tough for the local police establishments. And previously there were a handful of celebrations, but now every fortnight we are having a new form of celebration, and the format is fixed. Bigger processions, and these processions include DJ music being played, and the songs in it contain virulent contents, and this leads to further deterioration. A particular group or a religious gang celebrating a particular festival, they have a procession route, and en route the procession, if there is a religious structure of another community or another religion, their specific songs are being played, which lead to provocation, and the other community reacts, and that's fertile enough to create a riot. New concepts and terminologies on social media. If we observe concepts like rather jargons like love jihad, land jihad, these were not found earlier, but now these are quite common in the local parlance. We gradually have taken it into our vocabulary. It is happening, and when it is being bombarded, people start believing it, and it has come into the day-to-day life. So this introduction of new jargons and making people believe that these are in existence is another trend. And if you see the communal decisions and implementation of those decisions have become uniform and across the state and nation. The best example is the Shaheen Bagh protests, which erupted in early 2021, if I'm right. So these were not the case previously. Initially, if there is a problem in a particular city or a town, there will be protests in that particular city or a town. In very rare cases, it spreads across. But now, even before the problem is being addressed to or being examined, the protest format spreads across the states. And so say, for example, for someone in Tamil Nadu, they might not even know what Shaheen Bagh means, why that name, what to do, or anything. But they erect a pandal, they have the banners ready, Shaheen Bagh of particular town. How does this happen? There is a organized, orchestrated format for this. Another recent example is the Nupur Sharma incident. The protests were across the state and in many states on a particular day, because the local people did not meet and they did not decide on a particular date to have the protest done. But from top-down approach, everybody declared at the same time that Friday after the afternoon namaz, a particular community will take out a rally in protest of those statements, and those rallies pass through the localities where majority occupants are from the other religion, and again create riot. So these two are pretty recent examples where we can understand how this happens in a top-down format, and how it has affected recently. So the problem primarily with, I'm talking purely in the law and order perspective or the police perspective, communalization of force, which is quite unfortunate, but is happening. And the recent example of the RPF constable involving himself in Maharashtra, which led to killing of a old man using his own service pistol. So this shows that the force, which has to be neutral and professional, is also communalized. Just like when we discuss criminalization of politics and politicization of criminals, we must also examine, we in the sense the bureaucrats and you guys, future bureaucrats, have to examine communalization of force will be very detrimental for the basic structure of law and order in India. And organized groups and gangs with a proper structure, a parallel administrative structure, just like we have, they do have a proper administrative structure for themselves, and this is troublesome for law enforcement agencies in the future. And the bigger problem is that it is intertwined with the administrative structure at some points and positions, which is all the more unfortunate. And every decision of a law enforcement officer has to be very measured and calculative of the repercussions. So one example will be, you can just Google Antravali Sarati. So this is a small village in Jalna district in Maharashtra, where one particular community members were holding fast, and there was a law and order situation, and the police reaction to it, and later on the entire issue got diverted into or rather the crux became the police's reaction. So every action taken by the police officer on the field has to be very measured now, and in the current scenario with mobile cameras with everybody and the social media handles which everyone have, our actions either omission or commission both are under scrutiny, and we have to be very very careful about it. And if at all a riot happens, the post riot handling is again very important right now. It has been important always, and right now it has become all the more because mass arrests and mass arrests do happen, and mass arrests leads to a further bigger problem which I'll discuss in the course of the speech. And another reason problem is legitimate businesses becoming illegalized. Of course, once an act is passed, there is no choice for us as police officers. Whatever law we have in hand, we have to get it implemented. But I'll just give you the example of maybe ban on cow slaughter. Many states have passed this act, and how this act impacts the social fabric. So farmers have cattle with them. Once the milching capacity is over, once the cattle is aged, a few of them sell it out. Those who cannot afford to maintain it, they sell it out. The person who buys in the village, the person who gathers the cattle, local transporter, driver, and another bigger trader who purchases it, who transports it, the slaughterhouse businesses, the butcher, the meat seller. This is one part of the trade, and the byproduct, the skin or hide, the one who collects it, buys it, transports it, cleans it up, tannery, and it is being handed over to the leather industry. So this is the second thread of the cattle network. So with one act, this entire thread is becoming illegal. So the transporter, the laborers involved in it, the lorry drivers, the cleaners, the slaughterhouse employees, the laborers, all these people mostly belong to one particular community. And suddenly you are doing something illegal. And illegal leads you to become criminal. So I would want you to connect the mass arrest post riots and this part. So a normal guy, a normal person working, undertaking the zone, the vocation which he used to or which he knows, suddenly becomes a criminal, gets FIRs registered against him, gets himself arrested, and the similar thing happens in a communal riot situation also. So in a communal riot happens, two groups maybe stone pelt at each other, and a person standing and watching a communal religious procession is suddenly taken aback. Something like this is happening. He runs along with his friends, and when the police in post riot analysis check the CCTV footages or gets witnesses, then we have this person joining the group. Whether he actually attacked or not is a question of investigation, but he's being picked up for question. At some point, that XYZ individual is arrested, and these two groups, whether he's a laborer or an accused in the communal rights situation, once you're arrested, put in judicial custody, put into the jail, the kind of network you build or acquaintances you gather in a prison, is not healthy for an individual. And when this happens twice, thrice, his network widens, and a normal commoner becomes a criminal. In his second or third visit to the jail, he becomes a hardcore criminal. And there, the way he is bombarded, we can't imagine. Because you were a commoner and now you are here with us as a criminal. And what is the point in you to get back to your normal life? Better join us. This happens, and tutoring, and at an extreme level, there is pretty much chance of radicalization happening in these places as well. So once he comes back, whether he'll return to the mainstream is a very tricky question. And in most cases, he has all the reasons to believe that the society is not accepting him, the society is pushing him to become a radical or a criminal. In both cases, it is a major loss to the society as a whole. And so let's get into the next part, which is measures to be taken by the police administration. A very simple rule is having a neutral and strict approach within the four corners of law. When we handle any situation with this as the basic thumb rule, it becomes easy for us to justify our omissions and commissions. Stern and firm action before any religious event, which might be a festival or a congregation, or the post communal situation. Pre and post events are both very important. And see, once a communal riot happens, you react. Yes. So how does this impact the overall communal harmony of the society? The way the local police handles one communal riot will have a major impact on whether another riot will happen in the town in the near future or not. If we are stern, if we are professional, that will send a very positive message to the society, and will be a very deterrent effect, will have a very deterrent effect on the potential troublemakers, that they would not dare to commit any such acts in the near future. And contingency management plan should definitely be in place, which has ingredients like trained staff who are well briefed with proper gears. So well briefed, I would like to underline, because every constable or a police officer have undergone the same kind of training, but for particular incident or particular event and particular moment, what should be his or her reaction depends on the briefing he gets just before the event. So before deploying your personnel, it's more important to have a proper briefing session, and the staff should be periodically trained so that they are ready to rise up to the situation as and when it arises. And now the other basic professional conditioning like mock drills and riot drills should be in place. Other aspects are having man-to-man marking. So having individuals marked in across the communal spectrum, who are the potential troublemakers, who has the capacity to guide the youth positively or negatively. These should be identified, and these men should be marked, and if with criminal background, bind them down as per the BNSS. If not, have them realize that they are under radar, and they will be marked one to one, and depending on their stature, the stature of the police officer should be equivalent or above, so that they remain in their place and their place is shown as and when required. Another important aspect is to catch the youth. Catch the youth in the sense to catch them young, to keep the youth in loop, to have a conversation and a channel of communication open with them. This is very important because whenever we have any peace committee meetings or religious meetings with the administration, the members of the community who attend are generally seniors, 40 plus, 50 plus, and we don't see youth being part of these conversations. And when there is a riot, 90-95% are these people participating who are out of our communication channel. So it's more important to have the institutions, the colleges and the schools be part of these communication channel, and the youth should be well within the loop. And another important aspect, or maybe subject of this, is monitoring of social media. So the trouble mongers aspect has social media provocative posts as one of the most important reasons. So that way, so social media posts, better to have a proper cyber patrolling team who keeps on sifting the local social media groups and platforms. This helps in monitoring law and order as well as potential communal troubles. So, if you see, say for example, the last Bakrid which was celebrated, one particular social media group or page, they featured one post wherein a head of a cattle was shown, a slaughtered head of a cattle was shown. There was no reference to it when it comes to place or time, just just an image of a cut cattle head. This created or triggered a trouble, and ripples were seen in the other community. How can this happen? Why did the police didn't take action on this and that? But the cyber patrolling team immediately picked this up and brought it to the notice of the local police formation. And once the person who posted the image was picked up, he comes out with a very flimsy explanation. He just downloaded it from Google. It's freely available. He just downloaded and posted, just as a precaution. The other community might do this. So we immediately made a video of him explaining the same and posted in the same groups and from his own handles, and this immediately quenches the ripple it creates. And quelling of rumors, as much as sifting the social media pages, having a proper anti-propaganda team is also important. So the rights have to be identified from the wrongs, and it has to be explained to the public at large, so that this does not create further trouble. Social media post comes up with some speech made by some religious head 10 years back, 15 years back. A particular few seconds video is edited and it's spread across recently, and that creates trouble across the state. So the context has to be explained, and we as the administration has to take up this responsibility. Otherwise, somewhere's problem become everywhere's problem. So that is important. Another important measure which we have to take is to any forestry guys here will be able to understand the forest fire line concepts. So now it is a need of the hour that police department has to maintain fire lines, in the sense that so basically fire lines are the pits dug out in zones of forests, wherein if at all there is a forest fire, it does not spread across. So to prevent forest fires from spreading from one part of the jungle to the other, they divide and have the pits dug out. So that way we have to create fire lines for every smaller jurisdictions. If at all there is a nearby city which is facing a communal situation, that should not affect here. The communal fabric of the city should be maintained in such a manner that outside forces doesn't impact here. So for which you need to have dialogue with the community leaders, and that has to be effective and based on trust. So if that trust is built between the community leaders and the administration, particularly police administration, we can build these fire lines. And even if there is a major communal trouble in the adjacent city or town, you can rest assured that violence will not spill on the roads of your city or town. And for these, continuous efforts has to be taken. Just on the verge of a communal riot, you go and try to create these lines, it will not be possible. So you will have to put in efforts round the clock, round the year, so that this result can be yielded. And if at all there is an incident happening, the police machinery has to isolate that incident. How to isolate that particular incident? Getting to the root of it. So I'll give you some examples which might be funny. These are real communal riots which has happened and we have handled. There was a communal incident between two religions. We get calls and we attend to it, and heavy stone pelting happens. Many people injured and houses damaged, public properties damaged and everything. 2 days we had 144 imposed. And during the course of the investigation, when we started, it was a communal riot between two religions. And when we dug into it, the actual cause for that was a bunch of college students studying in the same college, and two boys were seeing a girl, and they were having an argument over that. Incidentally, these two boys belonged to different religions. They had a quarrel. The two friends group started fighting, and the other onlookers or bystanders, they mistook it as one religion. I mean, members belonging to one particular religion is assaulting members belonging to other religion. So they involved themselves. Stone pelting started. Once stone pelting started, there was no stopping or turning back. So the entire village involved themselves, and they suffered for 2 days of 144, and till now they are all attending courts, summons, warrants, and everything, and it will go on for another 3-4 years at least. So like these, the reason or the trigger might be very flimsy, but the social fabric in such a manner that anything and everything becomes a religious problem, and everybody wants to lend his hand to solve that issue. So this is where isolating the incidents is very important. So if we just leave it at that, it was a communal riot, it happened between two communities or two religions, it spreads. The visuals or the videos of the stone pelting spreads to other towns, and they take up law into their hands. In XYZ village, they attacked our community, and hence we are attacking you. Wherein this particular village has no way in any relation to this incident. So isolate the incident and spread the proper news through social media as well as mainstream media that this incident happened due to this reason. There is no reason for any other village or town or person to react to this, because it is a enmity between two individuals or two families, or it's a property dispute between two neighbors who share a common wall. Incidentally, they belong to different religions. So that way we have to isolate and explain to the common public at large that yeah, as I stated in the beginning, a law and order incident does not become a public order incident. And touching some legal aspects, or rather what BNS and BNSS provides us with. So rioting, primarily we look at a riot as a riot, there is no particular mention as a communal riot, barring a few sections. So 189, 190, 192, 193 of BNS deals with unlawful assembly, rioting with weapons and causing damage and injury to the others. And we have two sections which are very important, 193, 2 and 3. These deal with the benefactor of the riot, the owner who is benefiting out of the riot, and the agent of the owner who is benefiting out of the riot. So when we evoke sections, these has to be kept in mind, because every riot will not be like there was no benefit for anyone. No, there might be a hidden agenda or a vested interest. If a communal riot happens, a particular person might get benefited. So that has to be dug out by the investigation machinery, and the concerned sections has to be evoked so that stringent punishment can be given. So benefactor, owner who is the benefactor of the riot, and the agent of the benefactor, owner of the riot, has to be identified, and they have to be booked accordingly. 196, again, creating enmity between two caste, creed, or religious groups. So that happens. And let us discuss some effects of a communal disturbance, or how people are actually affected by a communal riot. So imagine a small town or a village having a uh, religious festival. There is a small procession. One particular religion plays a music or a song which is provocative to the other religion. They react, pelt stones, communal violence erupts. Both the religious groups attack each other's property. All these happens. Police intervenes. Registered cases, starts arresting. So this is a set pattern. This is how it happens. But once we arrest, what happens then? See, basically, out of personal experience, I'm sharing this. Once the police machinery starts the arrest procedure, all able-bodied men disappear from the village. They just could. Those who are arrested immediately are in custody. So the able-bodied persons of the village, male members, are either in custody or they have absconding. They are absconding. So what are they doing? Markets are shut, businesses are affected, man hours are lost, labor or wages are lost, and overall productivity of the village is going down, dipping. Any person who wants to establish a shop, a small business, would think twice to get into this particular village to start its business. At the drop of the hat, you're going to have a communal riot and police is going to come knocking at my doors. Nobody wants this. That's one. And repercussions of a case registered against you is also pinching you economically. It is quite expensive. So for someone from a humble background to approach a lawyer for a anticipatory bail or a bail, regular bail after you are arrested, is going to cost him. He has to pay the lawyer a fee in cash or kind. So who's going to bear that cost? Somebody who is just fighting to make the ends meet, cannot afford to shell out the lawyer's fees. That too, when your wage or business has been affected. So if you go to the attend to your employment, you get your wage, and if you're not doing that for a month or so, fearing police arrest, and suddenly you have to shell out money for the court expenses, it's going to cost you. And a normal civilian's life is a day-to-day civilian's life is disturbed. Social fabric is disturbed. Previously, the neighbors used to be friendly. They used to be interdependent. But after a riot, they lose the trust they look at each other suspiciously, because one person becomes the witness against the other person. One person becomes the complainant and the other becomes the accused. Might be vice versa. So, and again, frequent religious congregations and processions, these are costing money. Who is funding it? So the organizers approach the local businesses in many instances. They are also fed up with it. Every month I have to shell out some money to somebody for a procession, and on that particular day I have to shut my business. So people are not comfortable with it. So at one point of time they resist, and when they are fed up of it, they shut down their business and move out of the town. So this leads to loss of livelihood, and again, who is suffering? The common civilian. Way forward, uh, having a very neutral administrative machinery is very important to maintain communal harmony and maintain the social fabric in the society. And number two, governance with development agenda. Absolutely one point agenda, development. If that is the case, then the communal harmony would naturally build up. Education, employment, and progress. These three should be kept in the forefront of any decision, whether it is to celebrate a festival or not. Will it have any benefit to any three of these? Then we'll go for it. Otherwise, no. Such decisions has to be taken. Interfaith dialogue, and interfaith dialogue we need to have from the apex to the bottom. So every religion will have, say for Christianity, there is a Pope. For the Hinduism, there might be Shankaracharyas. For the Islam, they will have Qazis, Sheher Qazi, Rajya Qazi. They are the chief of the religious groups in that particular state or city. When these two minds meet, these two people meet, and that news trickles down to the ground, to the bottom levels, that sends a very positive message. And this builds interfaith trust. And based on this interfaith trust, the social fabric which has been damaged has a very positive chance to get back to the older days. And another important decision which has to be taken is the fringe elements have to be kept out of the limelight or the main stage. So recently you might have seen some new group just like that walking into a pub or walking into a park with some banner, some flag, some color, and creating ruckus. But they occupy the mainstream media for a whole day or a whole week. This is wrong. An isolated incident, treat it accordingly, and they should be dealt with legally. But when one fringe element group gets the media attention for a whole day, the other ones are motivated and encouraged to do similar acts which will bring them to the limelight. And that's what they want end of the day. To create a political base, they have to have their face popular. So these kind of fringe activities which happen in any town should not be popularized by the mainstream media with undue attention. And last but not the least, speedy justice is very important. Delayed is definitely denied. So we have to have speedy justice machinery, and the mechanisms should be in place wherein there is a communal right happening. Everything is captured in a video footage. But when the courts take it on board after a few years, the accused party and the complainant party live in the same village. One fellow has a shop, the other guy buys from the shop. One group has the land, the other group works in the land. So they are interdependent upon each other. They can't afford to be accused and complainant forever. So as time weans away, they sit out of the court, and the result is the witnesses turn hostile, and they don't give proper evidences, and this leads to dipping conviction. So once there is no conviction, obviously there is no result. So what if there is a communal riot? So what if I pelt stones? Nothing happens. Just a few months of incarnation before being released on bail, and some expenditure which might be met out. So if they are convicted and put behind bars for the prescribed punitive years, that will send a stern message. And once one group is convicted, I don't think anybody in the village would dare to pick up a stone to pelt on the other religious group in many decades. So that is again a very important measure which has to be taken by the overall system. So currently, the communal fabric is not the same as it was, say, 20-25 years back. You people will be rather witnesses to newer festivals, newer celebrations, newer form of celebrations, the grander manner in which the celebrations are going up, a number of heads attending these celebrations. These are all signs that it is deteriorating, and it is high time for the society overall and the law enforcement agencies in particular to rise up to the occasion, as this is a very important aspect for internal security. We cannot afford to have our streets filled with cross-fighting and stone pelting, which affect the public order. So the overall perception about the nation across the world that this is a peaceful and stable state has to be maintained as sanctum sanctorum, and law enforcement agencies have to ensure and promise the public that public order will not be disturbed at any cost, and we will stand as guardians of the rights bestowed upon them by the constitution, and we will ensure that public order in the society is maintained intact. So thank you so much for your patient listening.